Ladies and gentlemen, now in today's video, we're going to be breaking down everything that you need to know to easily beat the uncollected version of Mojo. As I think some of you may know, if you go into this fight completely blind, it's a very jarring fight because every time he nullifies or expires a buff, you take insane amounts of degeneration damage. And he has a node which gives you loads of buffs as well. So combined with that node and his anti-life field, this is just absolutely ruining so many players. But in today's video, we're going to break down everything you need to know to easily beat this man and just make it a very straightforward time. So let's dive into some of Mojo's core abilities and talk about what's going on in this fight. Now, let's start off by breaking down some of the core Mojo stuff you need to understand about this champion and also why the uncollected boss is so annoying. So throughout the fight, the audience are going to shout out random prompts, and these are displayed on the right hand side of the screen and also identified by the purple buffs under Mojo. And this can be all sorts of stuff. I think there's about like 10-12 of them. It's like block a hit, dash backwards, charge a heavy attack, and if either you or Mojo complete this prompt, then he's going to activate his anti-life field. And about half of these, man, you just can't really avoid them being triggered, so they're going to trigger like very often. But if you have the opportunity to not trigger a prompt and avoid triggering it, you should do so, because that'll bring the followers down, and we'll talk about that as well in a second. However, again, most of the time, just automatically fighting, you're probably going to trigger these prompts, and when you do, anti-life field is going to activate. So while anti-life field is active, and this kind of looks like Mojo's farting, like the gas is coming out from him, it's displayed by kind of the yellowy, orange, brownish, toxic icon just under Mojo. So while this is active, any buffs that you trigger have 90% reduced duration, and anytime a buff is nullified or expires on you, you're going to get a massive degeneration. So this on its own isn't so bad, but combined with the node that Mojo has on Uncollected, it makes him really annoying. So one of the things that makes Mojo just so annoying is this brand new node, Rising Sun. So whenever you strike him with any attack aside from a heavy attack, you gain a 25-second fury. So on its own, this one really isn't too bad. However, if you get to 10 fury buffs, any additional ones start to degenerate you. However, landing a heavy attack removes all of these fury buffs and doesn't count as a nullify or an expire for the purpose of like the anti-life field. The problem with this node is while he has that aura active, this fury is only 2.5 seconds, and then you're going to start to take massive degeneration damage. If you go in for a full 5 combo and then 2.5 seconds expire, those 5 furies are all going to be removed and you're just going to die. Like, you're going to get absolutely wrecked there. So while the toxic aura is active, the anti-life field, you need to make sure that you're throwing heavy attacks pretty much constantly to remove the fury and thus not get affected by expiring and thus not get the massive degeneration. So basically, for super safety, while he has kind of the toxic aura, you only want to use heavy attacks. If you're feeling a little bit more brave, a little bit more risky, you can also get away with like medium and then heavy attacks, but that is the big thing, is you do not want to standard combo into this man while he has his anti-life field active. On top of that as well, Mojo has 80% energy resistance, so this gimps certain champions like Havoc that rely a lot on energy damage. Also, attackers' power draining abilities are 90% less effective. His regeneration is increased by 200% as well, and that's 3% of missing health whenever a buff is nullified or expires there. And he also has a shifting immunity between bleed and poison, so every 10 seconds he swaps his immunity there, which means you can still get through him with bleed champions like Blade, for example, but a champion that relies on both like Archangel unfortunately will not work against Mojo, or won't work, you know, as well as you want them to work. Also, he does have this system with a pre-fight ability where pretty much like every time you fight this guy and lose, he's going to go up in subscribers, and eventually after losing like 4 matchups, he's going to go up to 5 million, and then he starts getting like blank hater buffs whenever he completes a prompt, and these can be nullified as well or expire and just deal additional degeneration damage. So the more you fail at this guy, the harder he becomes to fight as well. So if you die more than 4 times, sometimes it's like double degeneration damage, which is super fun there. But also based on the amount of followers he has, so this is indicated by like the orange icon, which is either like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or above there. So that kind of dictates in the millions how many followers he has. So at 1 million, and he's pretty much got this all the time. Anytime a buff expires or is nullified off the opponent, Mojo heals for 3% of missing health over 2 seconds. So you see a little bit of regeneration, but it isn't too much to worry about in all fairness there. 3 million, when a prompt is completed, Mojo gains up to 50% of a bar of power based on how many followers he has. This one is just really annoying, man, because Mojo's special 2 is super deadly. The special one is quite easy to deal with, just spam dash back. But yeah, you're going to see this, and it's something to be aware of as well. You don't want to push him like too close to 2 bars or 3 bars of power, because again, completing a prompt which can come around like very quickly and very easily will give him like a little burst of power. So just something to be aware of there. And at 5 million, completing a prompt has a 100% chance to place a hater buff on the opponent for 20 seconds, and basic attacks have a 15% chance to place one, and haters have no effect. So again, once he gets to 5 of the orange buffs, then you need to be like just very concerned, because it's very difficult to like get him down from there, and he is just going to be like constantly putting these hater buffs on you throughout the fight and then nullifying them for degeneration damage. So it's just really annoying. But yeah, Mojo, he is a nuisance to deal with, but in all fairness, man, the strategy for fighting Mojo is pretty much summed up as spam heavy with most characters. Now, if you've been left feeling a little bit confused, I don't blame you. There is a lot going on in the Mojo matchup, but really the simple tactic for most characters is spam heavy. And that brings us on to the list of best counters and champions that are doing really well. So ideally, there are 3 criteria for what make a really good counter to Mojo. So the very first one, and this is probably the most important here, are champions that do not generate buffs that expire over a set period of time. For example, Fury and Regeneration, some great spelling on my end there. Also, champions with very strong heavy attacks are just absolutely annihilating this man. Again, spam heavy is the optimal tactic for a lot of different characters there. And also champions that don't fully rely on energy damage. Again, I took in Havoc in one of my testing tries, and the damage is just so gimped if they rely fully on energy damage. So just something to bear in mind there. So again, some best options and ones that I've seen working really well for Mojo so far. Domino with the full Trinity, spam heavy, win the game, working very successfully for a lot of players. Mega Red, especially if you've got this guy at like 5-star rank 4, rank 5, you got Suicide Masteries on, is a very easy one-shot from what I've heard. Also, Void, I can personally attest, is an absolutely fantastic counter, because not only are you just dealing that constant damage, but you can also like block out and reverse the healing and power gain. So it just allows you to control the fight a little bit better. Void is a really good counter there. Also, Captain America Infinity War, spam heavy. Then we got Quake, just hold heavy, win the game. Blade with the villain or mystic synergy, because Mojo's both of these is going to work incredibly well, because he doesn't generate any buffs. And you can also like regenerate and maybe outpace the degeneration if you're playing very carefully there as well. But you can also take him down quite quickly with that damage increase. Human Torch, the damage is a little bit reduced, but you know, he's still got fantastic damage versus Mystic champions. Got really strong heavy anyway. Most of Human Torch's rotation in this encounter is just like medium, like heavy attack. Very good stuff. Also, the ability to like reverse the small regeneration as well is very nice. Dr. Octopus, spam heavy, works an absolute treat. A really good tactic there. Wasp, spam heavy as well. Great tactic. Gladiator Hulk, you can just spam heavy with this man. And also, like, his Face Me can reduce the degeneration damage a bit, but I tried to go like all in on one of my test tries, man. It just is not enough if you're gonna go kamikaze, so you still need to play this fight by essentially just spamming heavy attacks there. But you know, Gladiator Hulk does have a A bit of additional buffer. Then we've got She-Hulk there, spam heavy, also very good for just baiting out the special ones in this fight with the taunt as well. Starknot Spider-Man, spam those glorious heavy attacks, win the game. Sunspot actually worked out fairly decently in one of my test tries as well. Just, you know, you're spamming heavies anyway to really build up to a very strong special too, and then fire that off for a ton of damage there. Black Widow Clairvoyant, spam heavy should work very, very nicely there. Sentinel, bait out special ones and spam heavy, I assume is going to work very nicely as well. Maybe a cheeky little special too when that aura isn't active. Red Hulk just absorbs like a lot of the mystic damage to convert into heat charges, so additional damage output sources there, but also he's very chunky, so spam heavy man is a fantastic tactic. Spider-Man's stealth suit, this guy is a little bit more flimsy, but again you can just spam the heavy attack and it's a great option, man. There's a lot of damage output on Stealth Suit Spider-Man, and very oddly I've already seen a couple of takedowns on my Twitter timeline from Stealth Suit Spidey, so I didn't expect him to be used, but he doesn't generate like any buffs that you can actually nullify, so you know, it makes sense, man. Also Mysterio's heavy hits fairly hard, and once you get to that special 3 as well, can get a nice damage increase. We've also got Ghost. Ghost is a little bit risky, you've got to be aware and not throw the heavy attack while that field is active, but if you're a little bit patient with this fight and line up like a really good special 2, you know, you can bang this man out in one special 2. So I've seen some successful Ghost takedowns. Also Mr. Fantastic as well, seems to be working quite well for a couple of players. MODOK again, spamming that heavy, there's a lot of incinerate damage off that. Maybe not for a one shot, but he could make a very, very solid dent there. And across the tier list, again, there are quite a few additional champions that do not generate buffs. They expire over a set period of time, and that's kind of the main thing you need, is just like any champion that doesn't have constant buffs that does some decent damage off their heavy. And if you bring a full team of characters like that, you're probably going to get this man down without using any single revives, but we are aware that he is a little bit tricky to get used to. So with all that stuff in mind, let's jump into a little bit of the Mojo gameplay. Now we're going to start off with one of my favorite matchups. So this is Void versus Mojo. So this is my 6-star unawakened Void, and bro, I wish I had the awakened ability, but I didn't want to go for my fully maxed out 5-star because I thought that might be a little bit too OP, but it just shows how good Void is for the Mojo matchup. So one thing you need to be a little bit careful of as well is if you dex a special attack and then attack in to remove that dexterity buff while he has anti-life field active, you also, you know, get the degeneration as well. So in this matchup and a lot of footage that we have today, if we do take degeneration, it's mainly from the dexterity mastery. We've dexed a special 1 and then we attack him, but here you can see we're safe. We've got no dexterity, so we can just go straight in for a medium, straight into a heavy attack there. There are also certain intervals in the fight where if you want to, you can just go for special attacks and 5 combos if potentially needed. This isn't 100% recommended, but as long as the anti-life field isn't active, you're actually fine to go for standard combo hits and special attacks. But it is very important, as soon as you see kind of that poisonous icon and that fart smog kind of conjuring around Mojo, you do not throw anything other than a heavy attack, or else you're going to get absolutely ruined. Again, you can get away if you've got him stunned with a cheeky medium straight into heavy attack, but you know, just for a little bit of safety, you might want to stick to those heavy attacks there. You can see we've had a really, really nice try with Void so far, because he doesn't have that anti-life field at the moment. We went for a couple of hits straight into a special 1 there, so we get a little bit of benefit from the Fury, but we've also secured 2 stacks of Petrify, so we're blocking out any regeneration that might trigger, and also removing that power gain if a prompt does trigger as well. However, at this point, man, I was so close to the wall, and this is a problem you're going to have fighting Mojo. I've had it like all evening as well. If you're bringing a champion that has lesser damage output, is sometimes he just doesn't throw the special 1, and with a power gain as well, it's just very easy for Mojo to back you in the corner, and then you just get absolutely wrecked. So that happens on some tries, but with Unawakened Void, man, I thought that was a really, really decent try. We got like 96% of his hit points down there, and just a really good showcase of how to deal with Mojo. So he is a little bit tricky, a little bit different, but once you get used to fighting this man, he can be quite straightforward. This next try as well, I just wanted to show, just to remind you to occasionally let a prompt fail, because again, once he gets to 5 of those orange thumbs up, then the hater buffs are just so annoying because it's so much degeneration damage, and they're going to proc like all of the time, man. So this fight, and Try is starting off really, really well with Red Hulk. You can see we just got this under control. We've already taken off 20% health there, just playing it fairly slowly. Gets to use a special attack, so he uses that. He procs his anti-life field. He's up to 4 now. So at this point, man, I should have kept a closer eye on it, because one more, and sometimes you're just going to have bad RNG, and sometimes this is just going to happen, but I shouldn't have countered with a heavy attack here, because I triggered the 5th one. I get a hated buff on myself. That instantly expires. I think I get like another one as well, just instantly expires, and then I'm just dead from the degeneration. So this fight, man, it really has a way of sometimes just frustrating you, but just be aware that this Clown Fiesta stuff can happen. So trying to clean up that fight now, a Captain America Infinity War. We go in straight into a heavy attack, and because he's won one fight, he was able to start with 2 of those orange thumbs up, so that's like 2 million followers there. So it goes pretty much straight to 3. He's got use a special attack as this one, and I initially tried to get back to prevent him from throwing it, so now he is at 4, so a little bit more risky, man. So I'm trying to pay attention, take this a little bit slower, so whatever the next one is, which is charge a heavy attack, I don't want to trigger this one because I don't want to get him to 5 and have those hater buffs. Now the hater buffs are just absolutely blank, but again, if he has his anti-life field active, they're going to be very short duration 2-second buffs that just are instantly turned into degeneration damage. So that's kind of the big threat when it comes to the hater buffs. Now if you do let his prompts expire without them triggering, he actually goes down to exactly the amount of followers and likes that he started with. So in this case he went down to 2, but again, once he's won like 1 or 2 fights, it's just so easy for this man to get to 5. But luckily, Captain America Infinity War is ridiculously overpowered, and a nice special 2 sorted that mojo out. So yeah, strong heavy attack champions, definitely the way to go. Just to go back to the initial clip as well, one champion that just does so well versus mojo is Dr. Octopus. Like, gets so much damage off every single heavy attack, especially in my case if you've got a rank 5 one. But Doc Ock, I just found so awesome, man. Just butchers down mojo so incredibly quickly. And also you can see there as well, if you get the distance right with the special one, you can also safely land a heavy counter off of it. So it takes a little bit of time in to do, but just assess it based off every single special one. But as long as you're not getting directly slammed on top of, like, he doesn't really go much further in terms of the hitbox than where he actually lands. So as long as you're a little bit out of that, you're fairly safe there. Now also, one other champion that I was talking about versus mojo was Havoc, and Havoc isn't a great option, but this is still like a really good fight. I still lasted ages with Havoc, man. It still worked very well, but you can see our damage output is just so gimped here. I brought in my Awakened 6-star version. I didn't want the fully maxed out 5-star because I thought it'd be a bit too OP, but still with that 80% energy resistance, like, the damage is just reduced by an absolute shed ton, so it's really difficult to get mojo down. But this try also kind of goes to show that even without the best damage output, as long as you get maybe a little bit lucky with some of the missions as well, you want the ones that are like very forceful to complete, like hold block for 1.5 seconds, like is active at the moment. So if you get lucky with some of the prompts that mojo activates, then this fight can be quite straightforward. Also, if you get clipped by the special one, it isn't the most damage in the world, so there's also that as well, because I think I failed at the special one. This is one of my earlier attempts a fair few times in this Havoc try here, so not the best play, but it goes to show that you can get away with getting hit by a couple of specials as long as you don't have a buff. If you do have a buff and he uses aura, then it's going to nullify it and you're going to take degeneration damage, so it's going to be a lot more painful then, but as long as you don't have buffs, it's fine-ish, I would say. So yeah, spam and heavy is just working an absolute treat. We're having some fantastic RNG when it comes to some of the audience prompts as well. So again, some tries you're just going to get prompts that like never trigger, and this one's dodge a hit, so I think we're probably gonna, oh no, we're not gonna trigger it. Yeah, plenty of room there. Like, also the key to evading the special one is just dash back, like Silver Surfer's special 2 is just dash back as quickly as you possibly can. And again, try and avoid getting mojo to his special 2, because the special 2 has so many projectile hits to avoid that I am not gonna learn it for another like few months, I would imagine, until we get like a mojo on the dual targets. So I'd stick to baiting out the special one. It's highly recommended. But on this fight, I wasn't paying close enough attention to the amount of orange likes that Mojo had, so he's up to 3 at the moment, and you're going to see Havoc meet a fairly similar fate to Red Hulk on the earlier try as well. So I'm just showing these clips and tries because they help, you know, give you guys a bit more of an understanding of the fight, so you can learn from my failures. So he's got 4 at the moment, again 5 likes, the hater thing comes into play, so this one's charge a heavy attack, so I think this is the last mistake I made here, is I heavy counter right here, and then I get a hater buff on me, I get double G generation, and then I'm dead. So yeah, you've learned from my mistakes, lads. Be very careful with those prompts and try and get him down whenever you can. But again, if you die more than like 3-4 times, he's pretty much going to be at 5 constantly. So just to cut to another try now, we've got Sunspot versus Mojo. I got my 6-star rank one as opposed to the fully maxed out 5-star. And if I brought in my 5-star, this would have been quite an easy one-shot. I found Sunspot to be a really, really good option for this fight. I think I just kind of fudged this up because it was one of my early tries as well. So I missed a parry there. We're going for a bit of a heavy attack there. Managed to get some incinerates on this man. And then I miss another parry again. So these are just, you know, very, very silly mistakes. Here I can't use anything other than a heavy attack, so I really wanted to use a special one, but unfortunately we didn't get that. We go straight in for a special 2 because his anti-life field isn't active. We get a massive amount of damage, man. This line goes straight down to 36%. Then the prompt pushed him above 2 bars of power, so we just weren't being like on the ball enough at baiting out those special attacks, and it was really kind of missing those parries and losing that ground toward the start that caused that try to fail toward the beginning. Here I think I was going to try and push for another special 2. I think if I'd just gone in for a combo, man, it would have been fine, but I get comboed into oblivion. But still, quite a bad try with Sunspot, and we almost one-shot him, so that wasn't too bad. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that does bring us to the end of today's How to Easily Beat Mojo on Uncollected. It is basically spam heavy attack. I've spent 20 minutes telling you to spam heavy attack, and just be careful of the prompts as well. But I do hope this video has served to further your understanding of how to fight Mojo. Again, he is a lot more complicated with all the stuff going on, and I think your average Uncollected boss. So if you're finding yourself a little bit confused still, like, that's totally fair. There's a lot of stuff going on with Mojo, man. He has a laundry list of abilities, and this fight is a little bit complicated because of all the additional factors in play. Just try your best to spam heavy attacks and avoid the special one, and you'll get this man down this month. So best of luck trying to take Mojo down. He's an annoying boss, but eventually he will go down. There's no crazy mechanic like life cycle on this man. Thank goodness for that. I'm very, very pleased on that one. But ladies and gentlemen, please do smash that like button if you enjoyed today's video. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.